Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Canucks losing 3-2 in overtime to the Ducks in Colorado tomorrow. Today's guests, including Farhan, standing by, are brought to you by Optic Foliar. The only lights on spray with no damage and no burning to your plant leaves, plant efficiency, nutrition, and results, all combined into a single solution for all stages of growth and safe to use on flowers. Spray it, see it, believe it. That's Optic Foliar. Believe it. Get it?
I get it.
Look at the logo there.
I get it.
And welcome to Optic, by the way.
Yeah.
Visit this Made in BC company online at opticfoliar.ca.
Good guys.
Just before we get to Farhan, I want to read two texts into the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox from Steve in Vancouver. This is about the Canucks, obviously. If they played like that, they'll be just fine. Look at the process, not the result. They got goalied. So basically agreeing with what Travis Green and JT Miller had to say in our first segment. In contrast to that, Donkey the Roofer, and we've had a lot of this type of text. Once the Canucks stop celebrating moral victories, they will truly be contenders. Bad mindset. Been going on too long with this team. We've had a few other ones ripping into Travis Green for being so positive in the wake of another loss as we bring in Farhan Lalji from TSN. Farhan, how are you, sir?
Good, guys. Come on, stay positive. Would you just like Travis Green?
Yeah. Well, what do you think? You're a coach. I mean, they lose again. The start hasn't been great. Do you agree with Travis Green and JT Miller when they say, look, the process, like Stephen Vancouver has said, the process is just fine. We're going to stay the course. Be positive, like you say.
Well, I think Travis Green has had his moments where he's been negative and when he's been critical and when he's been brutally honest, right? I mean, I do think that's happened after various games. He's punished them in practice at various times. So it does change, and I think that you've got to just take a look at the game and decide whether or not the players are being reasonable or whether they're just completely delusional, right? And there were times, like, we all knew Henrik Sedin as a fantastic leader and as a guy that was just really honest and just a good human being. Well, there were times when the Canucks were really, really bad in 2013 and 2014, and Henrik Sedin would come out and say to the media, just, they're close. If they play like this, they'll be great in the playoffs. And it was delusional, right? Players get into that mindset where they're just going to try to stay positive, and they're going to go back and forth at times and exhibit varying degrees of frustration. So I just try to look at that game, and I think they played well, right? Like, I'm not a moral victories guy, but shot attempts 80-46, and I think on balance, it might have been their best game of the season in terms of just their ability to carry play, right? And the fact that, they dominate the first period, but they gave up a power play goal. I thought they played well to get the game into overtime and had the better chances in overtime, but just, they gave one up. So tough to beat yourself up over a game like that. Do they need to get better? Yes. I think you're seeing things like the Lotto line and Elias Pettersson. They're finally starting to get some traction offensively. If you look at the scoring chances they generated for and against, it was much better than what we've seen of late. So I think after a game like that, it's okay to be positive. You don't have to necessarily view that as a moral victory, but I think the coach especially has been critical previously, as he should have been.
Are you seeing anything when it comes to the PK? We focused so much on the power play for the first few moments of this season, complaint-wise. Now all the complaining has to do with the PK, and rightfully so. Do you see anything out there that makes you think this is the area they have to improve when it comes to penalty killing?
Well, it's an area they significantly have to improve, and I don't know how they get better at it now. And I think the penalty killing problems made the power play look worse, right? I mean, and the power play wasn't great, don't get me wrong, but, when you can have 4 or 5 power plays in a row, like they did against the Rangers, get nothing, and then 4 seconds into a power play, the other team scores, it makes the power play look worse. This penalty killing is awful, and you can't blame the goaltending. And it starts with their inability to win faceoffs, right? I mean, you look at a guy like Bo Horvat, who traditionally hasn't been a good penalty killer. He took 30 of 46 faceoffs for the team last night. There were times they rolled him out there on the PK and tried to get him off as soon as they could. That's not sustainable, right? I mean, and it's tough because they don't have Brandon Sutter in the lineup. They will get Tyler Mott back in the lineup. That's going to help, but he doesn't take faceoffs on the PK, right? So I think their penalty killing is a real problem. And I don't know what the solution is for them right now, because a lot of it is personnel. They're not necessarily built to be an effective penalty killing team. It shouldn't be as bad as it is now, right? I mean, when you're giving up, in the last couple of games, it's been over 50%. Like, you can't continue that way. But I don't know that this personnel group, the way it's structured, is ever going to be an elite penalty killing unit. You just hope they can be in the middle of the pack and tread water at some point.
Farhan, let's go over to the NFL. This Odell Beckham Jr. story is just, for me, it's unreal because teams are after him. I mean, I understand he's talented, but there's a lot of baggage here. The dad just came out, did the video, the whole 9 yards. So what's your read on this, and where is he going to end up?
Well, there's a lot of places that are going to be interested in him, right? And, they could upgrade, and they're varying degrees of fit, right? And I think this is what he wanted. He wanted a contract set up so that you could get through the waiver claim process and pick. And I don't know that he's going to pick right away, because I think Odell Beckham Jr. likes the attention that he's getting right now, being the focal point of everything. And look, obviously it didn't work out with him and Baker Mayfield, and the Browns are better emotionally and mentally without him in the lineup. But when you talk to the others in Cleveland, they didn't feel like he was a distraction or a diva or a problem till it got to the end. So I don't know that he's necessarily going to be that wherever he goes. And Odell Beckham Jr. is going to have to decide, do I want to be on a playoff lock team, or do I want to be the focal point of an offense? Mm-hmm. So, if you go to a place like Seattle, you're not going to be the focal point of that offense. You're probably going to be the third receiver. And I know Russell Wilson wants to get you there, much like he wanted to get Antonio Brown there, and Tom Brady wanted to get Antonio Brown there. And you look at similar situations with a receiver who has that diva possibilities around him, right? So I know Seattle wants him. I know he's interested in Seattle. Not sure it's a great fit. They've got the cap space for him. New Orleans, they need a number one receiver, right? Because they don't have Michael Thomas this year. Right. And, he may get back at some point, but do you have an elite quarterback that can get you the football? Not sure that you do, right? So is the production going to be there the way you want? That offense is about Alvin Kamara. Green Bay might be a fit. They've got Devontae Adams, but he could go in and be a number two there right away and get into the playoffs. So there are teams where there are varying degrees of fit. Is he going to fit into your locker room? We'll see. But the one thing with OBJ is I think as soon as he gets to a place, he's going to be on his best behavior.
We'll see. Okay, Farhan, I have to ask you about the Lions, otherwise Rick will get upset. They host Calgary on
Good, Rick. That's how it should be.
They host Calgary on Friday. Just a couple of games left. They've lost 6 straight games. What goes through your mind when you watch that team play right now?
Well, just, uninspired, right? And I'm impressed with the fact that they were able to come back and hang in with teams like Toronto and Hamilton. I do think Calgary's better. And when I look at this matchup, I just can't get the thought of the last Calgary at BC game out of my mind, when Calgary just dominated them, especially in the second half, right? And it was a complete victory that they owned them offensively, defensively, and on special teams. So did they gain any measure of confidence coming out of those 2 games in Ontario? Do they feel that level of desperation that, look, we're going to do anything we can to keep our playoff hopes alive, or are they ready to just move on from this season, right? So it'll be interesting to see what they come back with. Look, they did look better in those 2 games. We know the kicking problems were front and center, but, when I just look at that Calgary team, I see a team that's better, and I just hope that some level of desperation can bring out the best in the Lions on Friday.
Farhan, thanks for this, my friend.
All right, take care, guys.